Hey everybody, it's Carolyn Edlund. I'm the founder of Artsy Shark, and thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel today. I've got a very special guest, and I think that our topic today is relevant to all artists. It's certainly very current, and I want to introduce today Carly Rector, who is an expert and who has written an article that I've published on artsyshark.com. You will want to check it out. It is about artificial intelligence, and we'll be posting a link to that in the description for this video. So Carly, welcome to my channel, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're involved in the tech industry.
Sure. Yeah. I've been in the tech industry for a long time. I actually worked at Amazon for 14 years up till a few years ago as a software engineer. I did a lot in sort of machine learning recommendations at Amazon. More recently, I have founded my own company called Cosign Art, which is based around a technology I invented for signed digital art. And most recently, I have actually acquired another digital art platform called Neon Mob, which is a digital art trading card game. So artists can come and publish their own art, and other people can collect and trade it as cards, basically.
Yeah, these are really cool sites, folks. So check them out. And Cosign and Neon Mob are both going to be links in the description of this video. So don't forget to go there as well. So let me get started with this conversation, which is about artificial intelligence, why artists need to know about it, what's important, what's going on, what's current. And Carly, you have just written an amazing article that we've published. We're going to link to that. But I wanted to introduce the subject of AI here so that people can start getting accustomed to what it is and what they need to know. So my first question for you is that artificial intelligence has really been in the headlines lately. And it's happening right now. It's apparently going to change everything about our lives, what we do, how we do everything. So I'd like to know, how is it relevant to artists? How is it of benefit to artists, and kind of, what they need to know right now about AI?
Sure. So AI can do a lot of things. AI is kind of a very general and kind of buzzwordy term for anything that is doing something kind of intelligent. General AI, like a sci-fi AI, like a computer you can talk to about anything, is still not quite existing yet. What we're looking at now is more like specific task-based AIs. So you can ask it to do something and it will do something that takes some amount of quote unquote intelligence. So for artists in particular, there's a lot of tools that have come out recently that will basically do art. You can prompt them and they'll create an image for you, either like photorealistic or more of a rendering, a digital art type thing, or even mocking up traditional media. So you can use that, and a lot of artists have used it as sort of a brainstorming tool or things like that. Also, people have used it just sort of directly to generate assets. And there's a lot more we could talk about in terms of like chat GPT and text and stuff like that, but let's focus on art for now, I think.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of artists use it as a creative tool, but it's also intimidating because artists are afraid of art being so accessible and so easily made. Do you feel that artists should be concerned that AI is a risk to their small businesses?
I think it depends, but I think it's definitely a fair concern in a lot of cases because it depends what the art is used for and how it's created and what basically your customers want out of it. If there's a lot of, sort of utilitarian use cases is for it, like I think a lot of I just want to see X and Y and I need someone with the physical art skills to put it together type sort of work for hire stuff is under a lot of threat by AI because there are just things where you can just go type in a prompt and it could do it in about 30 seconds. And that's way cheaper than getting an artist to do it. So a lot of commissioned work is really, I think people are very concerned about that. I think on the more sort of creative artistic end, it becomes less, well, I personally think it's less of an issue because people are really want the sort of personal touch of an artist creating something and that they're not going to get that up from AI. So
Yeah, I would agree with you as far as, let's say, if you're doing a painting and you can see every brush stroke and it is something that's made by hand, there's quite a lot of value in that, and people emotionally want to connect with that.
mhm.
I have also spoken with artists who are illustrators or graphic artists, and they're creating work for clients and they could easily be supplanted. So they may need to figure out what are they going to do with their businesses, since they could be replaced just by a tool or an app
Hmm.
practically. And so that's going to have to take some thought. So what do you think, and how do you think artists should start learning about AI so that they can get a handle on this, get on top of it, and start understanding what's going on instead of just a tidal wave coming over them?
Sure. I think one way to do it is actually to just go play with some of these tools. They're publicly accessible. You can go generate some art. We can actually do some of that right now if we want.
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's look online and see
Take a
what
look.
we can find.
All right, so let's start here with Stable Diffusion, which is one of the biggest sort of AI models for generating art that exists. This is sort of their splash page, and you can see these are all generated images. None of these are photographs. None of these are created by hand. They're just sort of generated. And you can do lots of different stuff based on a prompt. So they actually have an online tool where you can come here and basically just type in a prompt. And let's see, what do we want to do? How about a sunflower eating another flower in a abstract landscape? Just something that probably doesn't have a good reference point. Let's see how it does it. If you get really weird with it, it can sometimes be a little bit confused, but and there are different settings. You can see it's generating 4 images at a 1:1 ratio. Looks like it's not really eating the other flower. That part didn't really come through. And some of these sunflowers are a little bit wonky, but you can see like it generated it. And if you had something a lot more basic, it would do a lot better with it. So you can just come and play with this. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. It also has sort of an image to image. The idea being that you can also start with an image and either use it as just to influence the color scheme or style, or even just like create a revision on this image and basically like say like here's the main image. I want it to be mostly this, but also render it into particular art style or something like that.
So in other words, you can introduce elements that you want the tool to use and to integrate that into the image. So you might do this if you're brainstorming, like you said, you're thinking of images. This might end up as a painting, but you can kind of experiment with design and layout and elements and suggestions that you're putting in and things that the AI is thinking of. So it's kind of almost collaborating with AI, and then you can use that as maybe a sketch, and you could paint from it, or you could take it from there and even make digital art.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's the most interesting part for it to me, is where it becomes sort of a collaborative tool with artists, where maybe you sketch out a composition and you have it render it for you, or you have it render a few things for you, and then you take that and you break that apart into pieces or use that as inspiration. That sort of stuff is really interesting to me.
And could you collaborate with other artists? So you might take part of something they're contributing and something you're contributing and do a mashup in some way and find out how that might.
Yep, for sure. Of course, that obviously starts edging into people do a lot of theft that way, where they will find some art from another artist and just use that as their basis for it, or do that. And of course, there's a lot of questions around, is all of this theft in general just because of how it was put together, how it was trained? So.
Yeah, now that is a really important consideration to so many artists. Copyright and their rights to the work that they create, of course, is very important. And a lot of your article, and it's going to be right on artsyshark.com. You'll see the link in the description to this video, directly addresses the concerns that people have, how to opt out, how to know if your work has been used to train AI and so forth, so that you can find ways to almost circumvent this happening to your artwork.
Yeah, to some extent. I think there's a lot of challenges and a lot of work still being done there, but it's, I think, important to understand what the challenges are for artists right now.
Right. Well, I realize that actually it goes beyond the art field. I mean, certainly actors are afraid of, how they're going to appear in movies, since they can be recreated, and musicians are concerned because their voices can be copied. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure we might see some legislation or guidelines, and people will have ways to enforce rights and to claim and keep their copyrights and so forth.
Yeah.
Is there anything else here, or is there another tool that you want to share or that you feel is important for artists to take a look at this point?
The other one, which is in the article, is the Have I Been Trained website, which is
Mhm.
basically allows you to search for the um, search through the data set that Stable Diffusion uses and see sort of what the source images are. So if you're concerned that your art is in the training set, you can come here and sort of search your name or search the title of your piece, or put in some URLs and see what it
Mhm.
comes up with. Sunflowers is a little bit generic, but there are a lot. There are 5 billion total images in here, and they've been pulled from all across the web. And obviously, a lot of them are used as sort of the basis and training for a lot of this. So you can come and use this tool to find everything that's in the data set and see what's there.
So in other words, these are the images that AI learned about sunflowers.
Yep.
They looked at all of these images, and these mostly look like photographs, but it might have Van Gogh's sunflowers in there as well.
Yep.
Probably does.
It probably does. Probably does
Yes.
many times.
Yes. Very interesting. And I actually, you can go there, Have I Been Trained, and look up your own images or your name and find out if you've been searched or scraped or trained
Mhm.
on. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, I know a lot of artists who've been very surprised that their art was here because they didn't know any of this was going on at all. But it is
Mhm.
just, if an image is online, it is accessible to be used for this kind of stuff. And that's really where a lot of the controversy is happening right now, is like, how ethical is that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you actually present a couple of different arguments in your article. Folks, you gotta read this. This is kind of, if you are not up to speed on what's going on with AI, if you're confused and this all looks like brand new stuff, it is going to be everywhere. In the next couple of years, I think it's going to be a lot more efficient, a lot more knowledgeable, a lot more prevalent. And you kind of need to know where you stand, and are there ways to protect yourself? What do you need to know about AI? Are you at risk? Does your business face obstacles because of, the services that AI is ready to provide and so forth? So this is I think, a good way to get started learning about AI. Certainly go to our article in the description. But are there any other websites, Carly, that you would recommend other than Have I Been Trained in Stable Diffusion? Are there any other websites that are kind of major AI tools or places to learn about news about AI? What would you recommend?
There are a few other tools. Dolly, which is by OpenAI, and Midjourney, which is another generation tool, are the other ones to check out, like that, if you're interested in that. If you're interested in reading more about sort of the questions around it, I recommend checking out the Concept Art Association's site. They have been doing a lot of work in helping to sort of defend artists and ask questions and gather information on the challenges to artists and the sort of legal challenges that are happening around it too. So they have a lot of good
Right.
content.
Right. These are great suggestions, and both of those are linked to in the article. So we'll let everybody jump to that and read a little bit more about it. So, folks, I'm interested in learning from the audience. Are you using AI? Is this something that's on your radar? Are you concerned about AI? And, do you have any comments about whether you feel that it's a threat? Is it something that's actually good for artists? I mean, art is good for the world. Allowing people to make art is good for the world. And we want to encourage creativity. We want to encourage people also to do the right thing, because we want artists to be in businesses that are protected and to be able to retain the rights to their own original images. And so that's super, super important. Carly, you're an amazing expert. You have so much knowledge about this. I'm really looking forward to publishing this article. And again, folks, I'm going to open to any comments that you have, or if you've had an experience with AI, good or bad, and maybe we can keep that conversation going in the comments as well. So I'm going to wrap up today. Thank you so much, Carly. Thanks for participating. Thanks for your expertise. And we will all see you on artsyshark.com.